For that, first up, the French president is changing prime minister, but he's sticking to his economic flagship policy. Marcus, do explain.
Yes, he is indeed. Hi there, Mark. Hi there, everyone. Manuel Valls, as you may have heard, has been named the next prime minister here in France. We're still to hear more about his future team, in particular, who's going to become finance minister. The French president, though, he has already outlined one of their main tasks, and that is implementing a deal dubbed the Responsibility Pact. It promises lower payroll taxes for French companies in return for them speeding up hiring. There have been calls from Hollande's own Socialist Party and the left wing of that party to scrap that policy, but the president says that he's standing firm. Now, reviving the French economy will be the #1 challenge for the next government. Fresh figures show the government overshot last year's budget deficit target. The deficit came in at 4.3% of France's GDP in 2013. The government had pledged to get it down to 4.1%, and it's also pledged to get it down to 3% in 2015. But it seems to be facing an uphill battle to get that deficit to agreed levels. Now, the higher deficit put pressure on French stocks Monday. Meanwhile, American stocks had a pretty solid day, largely because of Janet Yellen. The chair of the Federal Reserve came out with her strongest signal yet that interest rates will remain low for the time being. She said the labour market still hasn't healed after the financial crisis. Let's take a listen now to Janet Yellen.
I believe the Fed's policies will continue to help sustain progress in the job market. But the scars from the Great Recession remain, and reaching our goals will take time.
Once again, Janet Yellen speaking there. And let's take a closer look at how the markets have been reacting after her statement. And the US markets finished the first quarter on a high note, although it's worth noting that the Dow was still negative for the quarter as a whole. The Nasdaq and the S&P 500, though, for the quarter as a whole, made it into positive territory. Speculation that the European Central Bank could ease its monetary policies brought some support to European stocks earlier on Monday. But the main indices in London, Paris and Frankfurt still closed in negative territory. The CAC 40 was down almost 0.5% at the close, way down by that deficit figure that I was making reference to earlier. We're going to stay here in France now. France is known worldwide for luxury brands like Chanel, Dior and Louis Vuitton. And next, we're asking whether it's ready for what seems like the opposite of that. British budget retailer Primark is expanding here, opening a new store in a Parisian suburb in time for the weekend. Catherine Clifford went to find out.
A stampede of ravenous bargain hunters race to raid the rails. At this rate, competitors could have to step up their game. Primark's the bottom end of budget fashion. Prices are often dramatically cheaper than those of brands like H&M, which dominate the French high street.
I think we've succeeded in marrying fashion with the very lowest of prices. And our competition, they try, but I don't think they've managed.
But while throwaway fashion culture has taken off in a big way in countries like the UK, specialists say they'll have to face up to a different consumer culture in France.
In France, there's a more classic style. Even though we keep up with trends, we're more likely to invest in expensive pieces and keep them for many years.
Primark's got its sights set on a French invasion. Since December, 2 stores have already opened in Marseille and Dijon, and the chain says they're performing well. And a further 2 are set to open by the summer in the Parisian region. Openings which the chain say have contributed to a growth of 13% in its last half-year reports.
It's very good quality. Just touching the material, you can tell straight away.
I've been going to London once a year just to go to Primark. It's going to be a lot easier now.
But in a mall 20 kilometres outside of Paris, it's a far cry from the Champs-Élysées. Bags of enthusiasm on opening day. But will Primark be able to keep coaxing chic Parisians out to the suburbs in the name of fast fashion?
Just a quick correction before I leave you. Of course, Primark is Irish, and even though it may be dominating the streets in the British capital, London, it is not British, it is Irish. And with that, I'm going to throw it back to you, Mark.
And good value too. My family swear by it. And they shop all over England and sort of talk about Primark as a good place to go.
Well, you know, I've been in there a couple of times, and there are some items that I've been known to pick up through my time.
We hope to see that wardrobe throughout this week, Marcus. Thank you very much indeed. Marcus Carlson there with all the business. Good to see you.
Throwing down the gauntlet there.
The gauntlet border, Primark, Babs. Let's move on then. Time now for Media Watch. Oliver Farry joins us for that. Good to see you.
Good evening.
We're obviously a buzz, not just here, but across